Hello, parents and grandparents. This is my first whiteboard presentation at High Value Parenting. We're going to do the sound checks and vision checks as we're recording. So we'll see how this one goes. If it goes good, I'll put it up. If it doesn't go good, I'll put it up anyway, because I hate redoing the same thing over and over. Okay, so assuming that the sound is good and you can hear me okay, this video is for parents and grandparents of children under the age of 2. Purpose is to explain some things to you which the majority of people don't understand. So you might have already heard nature versus nurture. It's the point of view of personal development as to which really plays the leading role, and there's a lot of debate about it. But if you look at the actual evidence, it's very clear in one direction. There's still debate, but the evidence points to certain things. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an overview of the things that we can do to improve nurture. All right, so I made part of the drawings ahead of time because I'm very bad at drawing with the markers I have, and we have to try to get it done in a reasonable amount of time. So this chart is the nature, IQ, and I have belief in there because there's a lot of things people believe about intelligence that don't really have anything to back it up. It's kind of a sort of like a story that's told about it, sort of an urban myth about what IQ is and what intelligence is. And so, in a very general sense, the belief about it is that as soon as you're born, as soon as you're conceived, from that moment on, your entire life is going to be dictated by your intelligence, that it's predictive. And so you take a test, you get an IQ score, and there are the slower learners that according to IQ will never amount to anything. There's the mathematical average indicated in orange. This is the people that do most of the work, but they don't get most of the money. There's the blue line. These are considered the gifted and talented group. And then the green line up here are those few people that have genius level ability, that have lifelong careers in certain fields. They're at the top of the field, and they are making noteworthy legacy for humanity. So that's the IQ in a colored graph, and basically according to it, you can pick out your contributions to society and the quality of your life based on your intelligence at birth, which I disagree with. Because what happens is, we have a series of, I have to wear my glasses because I can't see. We have a series of experiences that take place in the first few years of life. And these experiences shape everything we do after that. And so if you have children that, for whatever reason, start out a little slower, either it was a premature birth or the home environment wasn't quite exactly right, something happens, and there's a pace that is maintained throughout those early years. And so if you get a child that has a very slow pace in the home of learning, they can't change that. And it's not genetic, it's just the environment that they're in. And so these children, they're going to progress kind of like this. We'll just say it's like this. Okay? From the age of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this would be what's considered the slower learning kids. Now, there are good and bad words for that, but I'm just going to say it's the slower people that learn a little slower without saying why. Then you have the mathematical average. These are the ones that are the middle of the range, and they progress a little faster. So at the age of 5, they say this is a typical 5-year-old, typical 4-year-old, typical 3-year-old, typical 2-year-old, typical 1-year-old. Those are the averages that you'll get for child development when you look at some of the different graphs and charts, and they're all over the place anyway, but in general, whatever one you're looking at will have an average, even if it changes from publication to publication. Then you have the children that learn a little faster for whatever reason, and so their learning curve is a little faster, a little higher. And these are people who, through no fault or strength of their own, are born into homes and raised in environments that are very conducive to learning. They have more people around them doing more things, more interactions. They have a learning-rich environment, and as a result of that, their mental development just takes off. Then you have the ideal learning environment, which is a planned series of experiences that is specifically designed to produce the milestone experiences faster than average. So for the average experience, maybe you have a milestone here, and then you have another one here, and another one here, and another one here. You have different milestones throughout this child's life, the typical average child. And by looking at the gifted or talented child, they have these same milestones, but what they do is they have them closer together. And so it produces an accelerated learning curve. And then you have a planned childhood experience for those first 5 years, or the first year, or the first 2 years, but you've planned it out to hit all these milestones and keep track of what they are, and you teach to the milestone. And so then what you have is you have these milestones in rapid succession under the guidance of the parents. And what happens there is that with all these milestones being reached, you then have more time for the next milestones. So maybe the average child has this many milestones at the age of 5, but the gifted or talented child has the milestones that the average child won't reach till the age of 7 because of their environment, their home environment. And then the planned child might have the milestones that the average child might not reach till the age of 8, 9, or 10. These are the genius level, planned, structured learning environments. Most parents do a pretty good job of taking care of their child. But the average and the below average learning environments for the children are the teaching environments, not the taking care of environments. And so what happens is parents have those two jobs. You have to take care of your children and you have to teach them. So there's all sorts of information about what you have to do to take care of them. There's much less information on what you have to do to teach them. And so even though with the current development and the current homeschooling situation, there's very little material, relatively speaking, for the first 5 years and close to zero for the first 2 years. So what I'm trying to do is to raise awareness and provide the teaching methods for the first 2 years, and then anyone that gets those might want the next, 5 years total. So it's to introduce the concept that a lot more can be done in the first 2 years to get all these milestones out of the way. And then you still have time to teach all these other things. But if the parents delay and they say, well, wait till the age of 4 to teach the alphabet, you can teach it back here. And then even if your children don't learn it in the first year, they still have 2 more years to learn it before these parents will even start to teach it. So all the stuff the parents are delaying on are the things the child could already be exposed to and start experiencing to build up their knowledge base and aid in their mental development. So what has to happen is that parents need to have some sort of plan, whether it's mine or yours or anybody else's, so that they can plan out how to teach these milestones at a structured rate and track the progress on each one, so that by the time the child gets to the age of 5 or even the age of 4 and they're ready to enter early kindergarten, or if they go to preschool at the age of 3, you've already taught them these things. They'll be not only just ahead of their class, which is the secondary achievement, but they'll be closer to their peak ability at that moment. So instead of trying to compare them to other kids, you'll be able to compare them to a different version of them that didn't know that a month ago or a week ago. And so the value that goes into it in these early years will totally change everything in the future from that point on. So these first 2 years, most parents just do very little in the way of teaching. And so the exceptions to that are the parents that do a lot more. But even those parents don't have generally a plan. And so if you put the effort and the design into that time frame, tremendous opportunities will come up for the rest of that child's life that will not come up if you delay the learning process, as most parents in America do now. So I'm not meaning to complain against most parents. My generation did that. People born in the 70s and 80s, they did that. They were in this average range for the most part. But because of technology now and the opportunities, we can now start teaching these milestones at a very early age in a very comfortable, easy manner that will greatly benefit the children. And I feel you need to be aware of that. And then you can decide what kind of steps you want to take after that. So, thanks for your time. Hope this helps you. Have fun.